Hi, my friend, it's Pat Sloan, and we are here on Tackle Tuesday in this January of 2023, where the whole month is devoted to organization and our studio. So today with Tackle Tuesday, it will be fabric, fabric, fabric. And we're going to do the other things first, though. We're going to do some other things for today first, and then we will do our Tackle Tuesday. And that means Tuesdays will be a little bit more of a oomph of a project, a little bit bigger thing. Same with Saturday's videos. Those two will be a little bit bigger tasks, possibly, if you're taking them on. Okay, so sweater weather, let's do this because it's done. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So I missed my personal goal of having it done in 2022. Really, I was supposed to have it done at the end of November. But anyways, 5 weeks later, it is done. All the way done. So it's a nice throw, nice, and I don't know, my quilts, a lot of them will go to, well, they'll all eventually go to charity, but I think I'll keep this one for a little while. I'm planning now, I decided to plan to use my wide back from Harmony Wide Back for the backing. And I will use the blue for the binding. So those are the two that I'm going to use, and it looks so good. So excited about it. Greg was looking at it, and he has a camera collection, and so he was like, there's camera fabric. I was like, yes, I know. I sewed that. So it's always so fun. Then I decided, okay, let's get out these squares. My aqua and white squares, look how many more I have that aren't even up there. So I'm going to have to count. What I want to do is count everything that I have and to what size quilt it is, because originally I thought, well, I might make this bed size, for a queen size bed with a drop. I definitely have enough fabric, I have enough of these pieces for that. And I might still do that. So I need to see how far it is, or maybe I'll just call it done with close to whatever size this is. So that's something I'm going to look at this week and decide. But in the meantime, because I have some other things, blocks, I'm still, I'm sewing on other blocks and things, I brought out 2 little stacks to be sewing these 4x4s as I go along, which is good. So that'll kind of move that project along. The other thing is I started writing in the planner. So here's the planner I decided to use. And I just started with the month view. I don't know. I'm going to try the month view and see if I feel like I need to go to the week view. So right behind it, there is a little note place for some goals. So I wrote some notes for myself. And then there's the week, which gives you a lot more space. So I'm thinking eventually that I might move it. But this is just for me to jot some notes this year so that I could kind of open this up later and take a look. And that's why I was thinking I might just do the calendar view, and then maybe on the other weeks, like on some of the days, if there's too much, maybe I'll just make an asterisk and then I'll go look on the other page. We'll see. And I added some cute stickers, got some stickers on there just for fun to, when I open it up, it looks adorable. Because you have to have, everything has to look cute, like why do it if it doesn't look adorable and darling and you get joy from looking at it? Yeah, that's me. That's me. I got to have it that way. All right. On the calendar, I said I would talk about my word of the year. And the other day, there's something I said generated everybody sharing their word of the year in my community, and we had to shove it all into one post because it got too many unique posts. So if you have a word of the year, and pinned to my community at the top is the post where you can put your word. If you make a new post, we're just going to decline it. We're not even going to tell you why. We'll just decline it because we don't, I've told you now, told you here. And there's also a link to that at my website today in the description box. So that's where you'll put yours, or you can just write here at YouTube. You can just put it here at YouTube and read them. But it's kind of nice when you have that one post with all of those together, so you can kind of scroll through, talk to people about their word. But I wanted to share because I didn't think I would do a word. I kind of was on the fence, and then I started looking at my prior words, and I thought, this year is my 18th year. 18 years. I've done them for 17 years. This will be year number 18. That's a lot. And for me, I have this thing with 20 years. I don't know why. I like to get to things at 10 or 20. For some reason, those milestones, 10, 20, are important for me. I just feel like I'm this close. I'm this close. I can't stop. Even if I only do it for a few months, I did it for, you know, that counts for me. So there you go. So I was talking to my friend Pam Kitty Morning, if you know Pam Kitty Morning, and she was saying, well, we need to have fun. You know, you got to have fun. I'm like, you know what? That's going to be my word. My word is going to be fun, because I just feel like I'll focus on that. And it's a cheerful word. It's a happy word. It's not a hard word. I didn't want a hard word because sometimes, you know, there's something you have to really dig deep for in yourself for a word of the year. But okay, so I'm going to have fun. And if you go to my website today, you can see all the prior words, and all but last year, I wrote an article about them. And so if you wanted to go back and read about it, you can. Last year, I knew I was struggling with having a word, and I couldn't even find, I mean, I may have mentioned it on a video, but I couldn't really find it. So it's like, well, there you go. So that is my word, fun, and I'll probably just write that in my journal too. I'll just write fun in there, and just every month, just assess it. And I don't know how often I will do it here publicly. I think it's going to be more just for me this year. So this might be the only time I talk about it and write about it at my website. But I'll probably, you know, then recap it at the end of the year. All right, that wraps up the things we normally do for today. We are now going to talk about fabric. Fabric. That is the number one thing that people want to address within their workspaces, within the collections of things they have. So let's go to the other side of the table, because we're going to sort of deep dive in discussing fabric and how you can organize it and what are the steps to get us started. Because this isn't just a one discussion. It is going to be several times through the month we'll talk about it. We'll have several different assignment levels. So because it's a big chunk of things. So let's go over there. And first, before we go on, I switched out the quilt to a blue and white. This is Home Is, which was one of our Block Wednesdays we did a couple years ago. And I love it. I just love it so much. And I switched out all my other quilts in my living room, my kitchen quilt, to the blue and white. And a few in the hallway. So sometime this week, I would do a little tour and show you all the blue and white quilts. But you get to see this one today. And there's a link in the description box below, or at my I Love to Make Quilts. You can just go there and scroll down to the completed projects and you will see it. All right, fabric has a lot of things associated with it. You know, you think, oh, you just have fabric, but really for us as quilt makers, fabric is a bunch of different sort of categories. And that means we need to kind of get control of what those categories are for us. Now, what I'm going to tell you, what I'm going to show you are how I approach it. You can approach it a different way. You might have a friend that's done it a different way and you like what they do. Hey, you know, whatever. But for my video, I'm only going to talk about the way I do it and the things that I find successful. Now, first of all, I want you to know what it is that you're trying to accomplish, because you have to know it's sort of where you're going with this, because otherwise you're floundering. You look at all this stuff, like yesterday you hopefully were starting to pull your fabric so that you get it all together, because you can't leave fabric in the other room. You can't leave it in the garage if you really want to do this. Maybe you're not going to do those. Maybe you're going to say, okay, I've got bins in the garage. I can't deal with those right now. I'm just going to deal with the ones in my space where I'm sewing. And that's fine. Everything is fine. Every method and way that you want to approach it is fine. I'm not judging you. I'm not telling you what you're doing is right or wrong. I'm just giving you some ideas and hopefully some suggestions that you might find useful. So how I would approach this for your goals is, again, like 3 different levels of goals. One might be that you just need to sort it. It's gotten sort of out of control. You don't really have a method for it. You don't know, like, you have things stuffed here, stuffed there. So really you're looking at just sorting. Maybe you're also going to reduce it down so you have less while you're sorting. Maybe not. Maybe you're just going to sort. And that's totally fine. I'm not telling you have to get rid of anything. Whenever I do this, I always get rid of stuff because my space is small. I can't keep it all. Okay, the second way that you might be approaching this is just to tidy it up some. Maybe you have bins that are messy, you just need to refold them. Maybe you have a scrap bin and you just want to deal with that. So you're just kind of dealing with the tidy up. And then the last thing would be the heavy duty reducing. You know, you really want to reduce the amount of fabric that you have to what you really love, to what you want to really use. Maybe you want to get rid of older fabric, or fabric maybe that came from somebody else to you that you got somehow, and it's not really your thing, or you've changed your style, whatever. So you know coming into this that you're going to be reducing your fabric, and that's number 3. So you want to find that goal. Which of these 3 is it? Sort, tidy, or reduce? And reduce can go with the other 2, but the other 2 can stand alone. All right, so what type of fabric are you dealing with? And that's also important to know, because some of this I would like push to the side for right now, because it wouldn't be part of my process. And so I'm going to walk through this. I'm just going to read the list first, and then we'll just take a look at what I'm talking about. You have bolts. Yes, some of you have bolts, bins of fabric, buckets of fabric, tote bags of fabric, stacks of fabric. Loose ends, maybe they're just like a little thing hanging, like what is this doing here? You know, you found it sort of stuffed someplace. You've got your pre-cuts. I'm going to put panels in here because panels are a little different, and some of you have a lot of panels. Larger pieces of fabric. Might be yardage. You might have 5-yard pieces, something like that. They're a bit different. And scraps. And that's the other thing that's really, really big. Let me just show you now samples of what all those are. This is a bolt. Many of you do have bolts. You have bolts and bolts and bolts. Your place might look like a quilt shop, and that's totally awesome. But you got to sort of think about your bolts. They take up a lot of room. You know, why do you have bolts? Do you want them all? That kind of a thing. So you have bolts. You have bigger pieces of fabric. And that's, let me just now look down here on the table as we're talking. So for me, these are my bigger pieces of fabric, and they are more like a yardage, 3 to 5 to, a little bit more. And I keep these thinking, oh, they're going to be great. Like this one was just given to me. It's a little bit bigger piece, but I think it might actually go over in the yellow section instead of here. But I want to go through these for myself and say, okay, do I need to keep these? Or can I give these to the charity? Not this one, but can I give these other ones here to the charity? This one's definitely going to go over. Now that I'm holding it, I'm going to go put it on the side so it can go over in the yellow bin. I don't know why I stuck it there. See, this is what happens. I have same thing. I have some Christmas fabric that I was gifted, and it needs to go in the Christmas bin. And so basically, these were all gifts that I have not put away yet. So that is something easy to do and accomplish. Now, I also have things like this. This is a bin that might be a project, but these are all a lot of travel fabric, but then this is like a lot of fabric that's not travel fabric. And I think it was to go with some of the travel fabric. The travel meaning they're like, here, let me just pull a piece. This was like New York City fabric. And so I kept them to do something. So this is kind of like a project, but a problem project. So this is one that I'm going to get into because this whole side, I know this is something for Greg, so that's considered a project. So I'm going to put that there a second. So like this whole side needs to be put or done something with, because it really, I'm not working on this. And so that is a place that is a big thing to address. So this is what I'm doing, is I'm identifying what it is I have to think about with these. I have to put half of this away. The other half is the map fabrics that I want to keep for future projects. And future projects are different than just random fabric. The random fabric stuff is not a future project, although sometimes it is, like this. This is a bundle I got, and the same thing with your pre-cuts. You might have gotten a pre-cut, you might have a bundle, you might have a jelly roll. They're all things you want to have for a future project. This is one from the Sew Sampler. It was a kit, it was the jelly roll and the pattern, and I went and got this. So these are all future projects. I'm not dealing with those right now. They are fabric, but I need them to not be with the fabric that I'm organizing, because they're future projects, which should be, they're a separate category that we deal with. So anything that is already together that is fabric for a future project you haven't started, that's not what we're dealing with. Okay, so then I have like panels. So I'm like, how many other panels do I have? I don't know. So I don't know what panels I have, so I have to look. Then pre-cuts I keep together, you know, because I'm going to use them together. You know, I'm not going to take the pre-cut and take these 10-inch squares out and move them anywhere. I will use this as is, or if I decide to give it to charity to use, for them to use as is, the whole layer cake will usually just go to them, and or charm packs or this. Now your fat quarter bundles are different, because eventually if you decide not to use this fat quarter bundle for a project, you keep it, and you decide you don't use it for a project, this would all be opened up and sorted into the color bins, which takes me to how I organize the fabric. That's something you want to be thinking about as you're looking through all this today, or you know, the next few days as you're working on this. You're going to, you know, figure out what you have, what is your goal. You're going to be taking things out and putting them for you know, new home them, send them to somebody else, or keep or think about. But then when you think, you can also start thinking about how you want to sort it. I keep everything by color except for a couple things. So color would be, let me just get the, oh, I can just lean under here. Okay. So I have like here. So here's a bin of this, you know, the regular size pieces, and it is by color. It's green, all shades of green. So I keep them by color because I found years ago that this is the best method for me. There are a few things I don't keep in here. That is Halloween, Christmas, and solids. Anything else that's not by color, or these larger, you know, there's one basket right now of larger stuff like this. I don't put my own fabric lines in here yet until I decide I'm done sort of working with them together, because I work with them together so much. So that doesn't go in here yet. But that, they kind of go in the category of this. You know, my own fabric lines are kind of like the category of like a fat quarter bundle, where I'm, you know, I might use that all together, or I am using it all together, so it doesn't get sorted out. So this is how I do it, by color. You could sort within your color, like if you wanted to do light to dark. I don't get into that. I don't worry about that too much. And I keep, because I like to do things with new fabric, which is a whole nother discussion we'll have one day, you know, on the fabric stuff, is like, because I'm using mostly newer fabric, I don't keep a lot of older fabric because I just don't use it. That's my way of working. And part of it has to be with the business, and part of it is I just like to buy new fabric. And so if I like to buy new fabric, I don't want to have to use the old fabric because I still own it. So I try to let that go. So the thing you want to do now is decide what your goal is, get things out and start reviewing them. If you really are just going for like tidying up, this would be the kind of bin you're dealing with. You know, take everything out of here, refold it, and put it back in. If you are then at the same time want to get rid of some of them, put them in your giveaway or your sell place that we talked about yesterday, where you have a place to stage all of this as it goes. Personally, what I am doing for fabric, let me just tell you, is like, I know I'm going to do that one bin, and I also will put away those loose ones, and I have to address my solids because I have 2 big baskets of solids and I don't use them that much. So I'm thinking I can reduce it down to 1, and half of it I will donate to the charity group. The other thing that you want to think about today, or maybe not, just sort of not too deeply because it can be a big deal, is your scraps. So your scraps, mine, I don't keep very much scraps unless I was doing something specific, but I just have, you know, like 6 of these shoe boxes, and that's it. They're all cut down to 2.5-inch squares. I don't keep any other scraps. But if you have a lot of scraps and that's your main focus, you can still work it the same way. You can still work on sorting it, putting them by color, etc. Okay, my friend, this is a lot, and it all is for organization. It all is. But remember, do what you feel comfortable with, but if you really want to do this, then now's the time. It's like we're talking about it. You're going to have support within the group. You can ask questions. You can show things and say, you know, what do you think? Do that over at my community group, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan. But really today is figure out your goal and start in on the fabric. Start in on, you know, like I'm going to put things away and you know, figure out what I want to donate. And I'll show you my donate stuff towards the end. Yeah. If I haven't, I'll take pictures if I give it away. There's a chance that some of it will go before the end of the month, hopefully, because I already have some. I already have like 3 bags of stuff to go. So, all right. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. Go play with your fabric. Get it organized. I love you. See you online.